So we're hanging out with Chris Hardwick. He's here in New York City, Caroline's tonight and tomorrow night, a part of our New York Comedy Festival. No matter where you're listening, you could be listening to us in Oshkosh.
Bagosh.
Yes.
What are some other cities that have funny names? Oshkosh?
Racine, Wisconsin.
Economowoc, Wisconsin.
Economowoc.
By the way, I need to apologize to my mother. So off the air, I promised Chris Hardwick that my mom would knit him an animal sweater. So, Mom, get on that.
I'm wearing a sweater that has a wolf on it, a wolf face on it.
It kind of looks like your Boy Scout sweater.
It really does look like a Boy Scout
Is this the same
sweater.
company that does I think I have a dragon sweater.
What? Can I borrow it? We're about the same size.
It's kind of fantastic.
Medium?
Come on, medium. Are you a medium?
I'm a medium. Yeah.
I'm a medium.
Too big for small, too small for medium. Like, where's my? There's no. I need a Goldilocks zone of sweaters.
Sometimes on bloated days, I'm more of a medium. Let me show this neck wrap. By the way, these are sponsors, so don't insult the sponsors.
I would not insult a neck wrap. Of all the neck wraps I have seen.
It makes you look like a vampire. It's really cool because it goes like up around your neck like a collar.
Uh-huh.
Plug in Chris.
Around.
Yes, plug me in,
We're
please.
gonna plug you in.
How does it? Does this go like this?
Yes, just like that.
It's a fashion statement.
Guys, I feel pretty regal right now.
Dude, you kind of look like you're from Game of Thrones right now.
I wish it came in royal
Tyrion!
royal purple.
We got to turn you on.
Mr. Lannister always pays his debts.
You're on high.
I'm on high right now.
We are on medium rare.
I'm on medium. So what happens now? This just heats up?
Yeah. Your
And
neck will get like all toasty.
super
and
hot?
If you have neck problems or migraines, it's actually good for that. Backaches.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
What a fine quality product.
And guess what? You're taking it home with you.
What?
Look at you!
I'm more excited than Elizabeth who won $1,000.
We're like Oprah.
This
You
is
get a neck
Texas
wrap.
Rowdy.
He has a new show called Talking Warmers. So Chris Hardwick.
Yes, the wall. You asked me about the wall.
Okay, Chris Hardwick. If you look down your list of what you've done a lot. You work a lot. You're a workaholic.
That's true. I am a workaholic. Yeah. I mean, The Wall has been one of the craziest experiences because I never expected to get so emotionally invested in a game show. But we spend the entire episode with people. We learn about their stories. They're always extra wonderful, nice, giving people, and you want them to win. And it's great when they do.
Yeah. And they can win a lot of money, more so than any other
up to
game show.
$12 million. People leave with hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars, and I try to help them, and they never listen.
Well, how far can you help them?
I can say, what statistically, what would because there's 7 slots where you drop the ball from. The higher amounts are under the 7. So when they get ahead, like $1 million or $2, I'll go, now if you triple up here and you get this wrong, you could lose everything. So maybe that's not the best move. And they'll go, okay. Let's triple up from 7. It's like they get Vegas in their eyes, and they just get greedy, and then sometimes they go home with nothing, and it sucks. It really
I know,
hurts.
and you feel for them. Another good thing about The Wall is you tell their story, so you're like, oh my god, they really could use this money.
They absolutely
By the way,
could.
Do you want to? Are you hot enough? Do you get that off?
Is it warm and
it's good.
toasty?
It's super. My neck is super toasty right now, but it's
really-
cold outside.
Yeah.
I have thin LA skin,
There
so
you
your
go.
weather here,
Perfect.
yeah, it's real cold here.
So when they go home with nothing, how much of you wants to comfort them, or do the producers sort of whisk you away so you don't have to deal with?
No, I do comfort them. I hug them. I let them kind of throw me. I'm like a therapy doll. I just let them throw me around, and I'm gonna start just having wads of cash in my pocket so I can go, here, take this, take my car. What do you need?
Yeah.
Please don't be upset.
Yeah.
It's there are a couple episodes after we tape where I go in the dressing room. I'm like, I just need a minute, you guys. Just give me a minute to process. I feel terrible.
Yeah.
I feel terrible.
But look at everything that you have done. Do you want to go down the list? Does it bore you to go down the list of things?
No, please let
Okay.
us talk of me.
Well, let's talk about where do you want to start?
Talking Dead?
Talking Dead. Now you have fans of Walking Dead in this room, and you have 2 Uber fans. Are
you lowering the heat?
I'm just lowering the heat.
Yeah, it's intense.
Chris,
Yeah.
we can take that off. You don't have to wear that.
Don't remove my royal vestment.
Okay.
I have a Talking Dead question.
Yes, Danielle.
please.
So I know that you're on there and you have people who pass away and get killed and blah, 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 that come on. Do you know what's going to happen on the episodes ahead of time, or are you legitimately learning as we go along?
I watch the day of.
Okay.
Our show, because by the time I get to the show, we kind of do a little run through of the clips or whatever, the clip packages. So I don't watch ahead because it's easier for me to just have watched it. And also, I don't want to know because I'm a bad secret keeper. And so, like last season when there was a cliffhanger and no one knew who Negan killed, people would like shake me just looking for any kind of a tell.
Yeah.
Like, who is it?
Yeah.
Was it Maggie? Was it Michelle? And I'd be like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And so it's just easier for me and everyone if I don't know. And if I watch ahead, it's very hard. It's hard for the actors to come on because they know what's coming up. And you can see in their eyes where they're like, oh, am I about to spoil something? I mean, spoilers are like the worst crime
Well, yeah,
for social media right now.
We've learned that the hard way on this show. She spoils everything.
Not on purpose.
Right.
I do the entertainment, so it slips out.
But as far as a spoiler, Chris, I mean, you could say last night, man, it ended on such a weird note. That's a spoiler. You're actually telling someone, okay, when you get to the end of the show, it's going to be weird. And so you can't say anything anymore.
Yeah, and listen, I do think there's a fair amount of time, where you should let people kind of catch up, but it really should just be a couple of days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, people go on social media and they're like, thanks for spoiling this, everyone. And I said to a guy like, well, you don't have to go on social media. He's like, oh, I'm supposed to just not go on Twitter? I'm like, yeah. That's your responsibility. You can't go to where people are having a conversation and get mad at them.
They've asked us, like, oh, while you're watching the show, live tweet. And I'm like, yeah, but I can't say anything. So my tweets are, oh, my gosh, did you see that?
I know.
That was crazy.
Well, seriously, so when Daryl dies next week, it's going to be, oh, God, I'm sorry. But that's,
you do realize
What?
if that ever happened, it would lose
it would be
a lot.
the actual zombie apocalypse
Yes, it
starting.
totally
Yes, I
would be.
understand.
Totally.
You don't think I haven't thought of I hope that never happens.
It better not.
Because I'm the first mug that you see the second the show's over. I'd be like, everybody please calm down. Let's all just be reasonable.
Yeah, no.
Okay, so you brought it up, not me. The zombie apocalypse. What is your skill? Because
comedy ain't gonna help
Yeah.
it.
some people are good at grappling.
Being self-deprecating.
Some people can fight.
Wait, his renew neck wrap.
Yeah, but there's no electricity, so the neck wrap is just really a piece of cloth on my neck.
It's true.
It's a thick piece of cloth. Well, think that through. I want to get to that next.
Sure.
I want to talk about your wedding ring, which is fabulous.
Oh, thank you.
And you do bite your nails.
I don't bite my nails.
Someone's been biting your nails.
No, I just cut them sloppily with the clippers, but I don't bite my nails.
Should we interview people all the time? And that's the first thing I look at is I see if you're a nail biter. And
I'm not.
And it tells me a lot about you.
I just do it really fast. So I go clip, 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 and there's no real attention to shape or,
design.
There's no design element. I cut them too short,
But Chris, your wedding ring is really cool.
Thank you.
I mean, if it's too personal to talk about, we won't get into it. But
I'm happy to open up about
It's very unique. So Chris Hardwick, stuff to talk about, including the New York Comedy Festival. We'll get to that in a minute. Let's talk about what it's like to be, a highly paid nerd, basically. You've made a career out of... You've made a career out of being a nerd.
It's the best. Well, I
all have, by the way.
I just pursued things that made me happy, which is not something I was aware I could do when the first 10 years of my career.
Well, this is where we could all learn something. Do what makes you happy, and you'd be surprised how far you can go with it. We'll get into that. We've got so much to do. All right. It's getting cold in here. I need a wrap.
You need a wrap.
We'll be back.
It's getting cold in here, so put on all your clothes.
I am
Getting so cold, I'm going to put my clothes on.
More of this on the way. Chris Hardwick's here. We'll be back after this.
New ringtone.
Chris Hardwick is here. He is, of course, part of the New York Comedy Festival. Tonight at the world-famous Carolines and tomorrow night as well. Also, Greg Charles from the world-famous Carolines just walked in.
He's been there forever.
legendary.
Come in, Greg. Be a part of the show.
That's G Money.
So Greg, we've known you for 20-something years, right? 20. You've been bringing people in, the funniest people in the world, in from Carolines, including Chris Hardwick.
Yeah.
Hey, Greg.
Now, what? Okay, pretend you're not here.
Okay.
Poof. Poof, you're not. Where's my scepter?
putting on his neck wrap.
Poof, you're not here. Why is it important, Greg, that the world-famous Carolines have Chris Hardwick on? What is it Chris has that the other 10 comedians that you turned down didn't have?
Oh my God!
Talk about it.
No, I mean Chris is he's incredibly funny and smart and witty and sharp and famous.
I'm
that
not
helps.
here. I'm not here. I'm not here. I'm not here.
Right.
No, we love him. I mean, he's such a wonderful guy to have. I mean, everybody we have at the club is great, but Chris is
He's
Chris,
elevated.
Chris, did you know you're on our wall of fame?
What?
So,
I didn't know that.
If you walk through our supper lounge,
Yes.
and you see all those famous faces,
Carolines,
Chris is
where even
amongst
the food is funny.
Yeah, everything.
It's not supposed to be,
Everything is
Elvis.
great.
The food's delicious.
They took Cosby down and put you up.
Congratulations.
Did you take Cosby down?
We had a Cosby picture, but we just never put it up.
All right.
Smart.
All right.
John Panette still hangs in our supper lounge.
Oh, Panette.
John,
Introduced us
a
to
very
John.
dear old friend of our show.
I have
him.
a crazy John Panette story.
Oh, please tell, Chris.
All right. So many years ago, Panette and I had the same manager, and John was a really sweet guy. He was such a lovely man. And occasionally, he'd perform and he'd be like, "Oh, do you want to go up and do a guest set?" And I go, "Oh my God, of course!" Like at the Irvine Improv or whatever when he was in town. So I kind of thought, okay, we're buddies now, and he's a comedian, so he's got a sense of humor. So I got invited to his birthday dinner. And this was like 12 or 13 years ago. So I think, I'm going to be really funny and get him a disgusting joke gift. So I get him a vibrating butt plug.
Oh, boy.
And a card that you open up, and it's like a 3 or 4 panel card to accommodate the dong on the gentleman in the card. And so I'm like, happy birthday. And so he's, I give him the present, this birthday dinner. Our managers, all these people. He's like, oh my God, this is great. What do you, what is this?
Oh, no.
And I'm like, it's a butt plug, cause funny. And
butt plugs are funny.
And I go, well, just read the card. And he was like, why is it? I don't understand. Like he was so, and I felt like such a douchebag.
But no, John Panette was a very serious guy who loved his family. He had a very conservative side.
Clearly not butt plugs because that did not go over well.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So that was my John Panette story, and then I always felt bad after.
Well, I don't like you anymore. Get out of here.
I'm so sorry. But what about this butt plug I brought?
What's that? What?
You wanted to talk about it.
Oh no! Don't put that out in public.
What?
You're posting his wedding ring.
I know I've posted it before. It's all right.
Okay, so Chris Hardwick has a very unique wedding ring.
Yes. It's
what is it?
Well, when we were ring shopping, I just didn't want it like the typical gold band.
Right.
Yeah.
I was like, there's got to be other choices, And so I said, it'd be really interesting if you could find a ring with a dinosaur bone. So I go to the internet, and of course, there's a company that does it.
Oh my gosh.
This ring is stratified. There's 3 layers. So this dark one is dinosaur bone.
Right.
This middle one is meteorite, and this is elk antler.
How cool!
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, not
So-
good for the elk. And look at you!
They shed those. It's
Look what
so
you did to
fun.
that poor dinosaur.
Yeah, I know. This is how they went extinct, making rings.
So unique, and and just as in your ring, this is going to get deep. You ready? Mm-hmm. Just as in your ring that you have chosen, Chris Hardwick, your career has been one of. You like this? You know where this is
Here we
going?
go.
You have a very, very unique career. You actually cover various levels of entertainment and knowledge. I mean, you do interesting things that are interesting to you, and you've become a success doing it.
Well, that's the thing that occurred to me after being in the business because I started working in the 1900s, and when I did Singled Out. And so
Huge show.
Which is a huge show at the time, but it never occurred to me like, you could pursue things that you actually really like. So for years I would audition and not get stuff and still have my feelings hurt, and I could never really find what it is that I want to do. And then one day I literally just said, well, what do I want to do?
And your answer was what?
And my answer was, I had all this hosting experience. I kind of knew who I was as a comedian. I had a comedy voice, and I just loved anything that revolved around what would be classified as nerd culture. Video games and science and technology and gadgets. And so I said, there are enough channels now, and there are enough websites that I think I can mash all of these things together that I'm good at and that I like doing and sort of be this unique thing. Bill Hicks had a great saying that was something along the lines of, the more yourself you are, the less competition you have. So the more you can find, the more you are yourself. Because, it's like, well, why would you be a comedian when there's 1.5 million comedians? Well, because the more yourself you are, no one else is like you.
Okay.
And so I sort of applied that and pursued. And when you pursue things you love, you're more, and I was broke at the time. It's not like I had financial independence. I was like, as long as I can survive, the important thing is to be happy.
Okay,
And so that's
hold
what I
on.
did.
I want everyone to kind of digest what he just said. He became a success at doing being himself. So I mean, no matter what you do in life, if you're a teacher, if you work at a bakery, if you're an accountant, whatever, if it's what you want to do, it's all about you. Great. You're on your path. You're on your journey. But if there's something else you're not doing that you really think you could be great at doing because it is all about you, pursue it.
Yeah.
Investigate it. At least figure out what it is.
And even if you're in a financial situation where that doesn't seem possible, at least carve out a little bit of time here and there, because what happens is you start, when you get happier, it sort of creates this energy around you that is sort of attractive to the universe, I guess. I don't know how else to say it.
That's it.
Where you're more passionate, it's infectious. people notice, and it does have there is a butterfly effect over time that, once you start down that path, all these really great answers kind of reveal themselves along the way. So it's been really amazing. I've done everything I ever wanted to do. It's all just kind of gravy at this point.
Good for you.
Wow.
So when do you think that it became cool to be a nerd? Because I feel like nerd culture is definitely at the forefront right now, but it hasn't always been that way.
No, it wasn't when I was growing up and getting beaten up for bringing D&D books to school. It just, the old insult used to be, you're a nerd, and now the new insult is like, you're a fake nerd. No, I'm not. I'm a real nerd.
Right.
But I think it has to do with the fact that I always had this saying where I said, nerds make the shiny things that distract the mouth breathers, right? So everyone, like all the technology we have, all of the high budget superhero movies we have, those are all made by nerds, and so that creates a certain element of politics and power in nerddom.
Yeah, that's a
So
good point.
Nerdville.
Yeah, exactly.
And podcasting.
Yes, sir.
You are very successful at podcasting. We do our own round of podcasts here. We're always looking for consultation. Can you please, what makes a great podcast?
I just, when people say like, "Oh, are you an interviewer?" I go, "No, I just have conversations with people." It's like sitting down to have if you met someone that you wanted to get to know and you had coffee and you just had a conversation, just a very human. I think the beauty of podcasting is that at very few other places in the history of media have we been able to sit down and listen to people just talk like human beings, rather than seeing whatever kind of two-dimensional representation we see of whatever we think they are, but just kind of hearing what people like and what they're into and how they react to stuff it's interesting.
I mean, you've done radio.
Yeah, I did. I worked at K-Rock in LA.
You worked at K-Rock in LA, legendary radio station.
Yep.
You did the overnight shift.
I did the overnight shift right as grunge was just puttering out. It was 95 to 98.
Right.
Was just right at the end of music. It was a very interesting time.
So the difference between doing radio and podcasting, I believe that our show kind of blurs that line a little bit. I mean, we do just want to sit down and have a conversation.
Yeah, I just played music, so I would just come on and be like...
Pick up chicks on the request lines? Did you ever meet any of your listeners?
No, I mean, occasionally you
should never do that.
You'd have to do a series of on stages to introduce bands.
Right.
Which was usually a nightmare because the audience just didn't want to see some douchebag from the radio. They just wanted to see the band.
Right.
And so...
Yeah, we know that feeling.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, everyone, I'm from K-Rock.
we went to Woodstock several years ago, and they burned our studio.
Yeah, that sounds about
No,
right.
They caught it on fire. No, I'm.
Oh, they really did?
They hated it. Anyway, go ahead.
I'd introduced Social Distortion one time at the Avalon in Los Angeles, and everyone just threw whatever was in their hands at me on the stage.
Oh.
I know, right? Oh, poor little guy.
Radio people, we are one step up from, what is it? What are we, Froggy?
Carney workers.
Kind of.
Yeah,
We're a click above a carny
Yeah.
worker.
Yeah, that's us.
But, radio's so structured. I mean, your show's loose. Your show's already kind of a podcast because you're having conversations and you're having guests on. But radio itself, like music, it's just so structured, and you got to, come in and hit the post at a certain time, and you got to,
We pretty much gave that up. I don't know if you've noticed
Well,
that.
K-Rock, they always told us to not do. The post was the point that's like the beat before the lyrics come into a song. So you'd be like, K-Rock, it's all the time.
Right.
And so K-Rock, Kevin Weatherly, the program director, would be like, don't hit it because we don't want to sound like traditional radio station.
Right.
So it was actually engineered to be like anti-radio.
Well,
at the
here what
time.
we do is the opposite. I keep talking even after they're singing. You're laughing, and I hear you, but I do. I'm not very good at that. All right. By the way, if you're just turning us on, Chris Hardwick is here, headlining at Caroline's tonight and tomorrow night as part of New York Comedy Festival, which is it's the biggest in the world of comedy.
It's a remarkable festival that gets put on here. Like the level of talent that comes in is incredible.
Speaking of nerds, you have a thing for Weird Al. You're like a Weird Al fan.
I love Weird Al, and we're friends. Honestly, the first time I
Oh,
ever
you're friends?
yeah,
Oh,
he's one of the loveliest guys. The first time I ever had lunch with Al, because he's a very normal guy, I would get used to it, and then I'd look up and go, yeah, because I'm like, yeah, you're Weird Al. But he's like the nicest, sweetest guy.
Well, we have a room full of nerds here. Scary and
He's the best.
Brody, they are in love with Weird Al too.
I'm a huge Weird Al fan. You have no idea. Like I can't.
I got some
Here
idea.
he goes.
Crazy. I get all
Are you going to go see his new tour where he's going to do like non-parody
Yes,
songs?
I'm there. By the way, my hands are getting all clammy right now.
Just
That's-
thinking of Weird Al, but let
Weird Al.
me share with you, Chris Hardwick,
Oh
Yeah.
no, this is awful.
the interview that Scary did with Weird Al on the phone. I don't even know if Weird Al is on this.
He's
Okay. But anyway, they were interviewing Weird Al. Listen to how scary he mastered the art of getting to the point.
Sure.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. This is how much he loves Weird Al.
Al, this is scary. I've been listening to you and your stuff for years. Love all of your stuff. Dare to Be Stupid, one of my favorite albums. But I got to let you know that I've never been privy to the process by which you go about getting, permission, to do a parody. Because you pretty much you write what's the process like? Do you write the lyrics first and then you ask for permission? Because I saw you at the airport with Iggy. I saw you at the
that's all
Iggy
the time we
Azalea
have.
thing.
Thanks for
Text was rolling on you, and I just wanted to know, what that's all about.
Oh my God.
Chris, I've been doing this for 22 years. I know how to speak and form sentences, but when this guy is in the room or on a phone, I can't get it together.
I know.
You feel his pain.
It's I saw him do his full show in Austin, Texas, and he had like 3,000 hipsters singing Yoda, Yoda. I mean, he's a magical being.
He really is. He's like no one else I've ever met.
And you know what I love about it now? The kids of today are starting to love Weird Al because he's doing stuff for the younger kids. Now, my kids who are 12 and 8, they know who he is, which is awesome.
He will never not be relevant because
No.
he listens to everything.
Yeah.
He's
a
up to
fan.
date on what's going on. He's a fan,
Yeah.
and he's just a good guy.
He's a lyrical genius.
He is a lyrical genius.
By the
the
way-
hardware store song or the palindrome
Yes!
song?
Oh my
Come
God.
on. Come
Dude,
on.
White and nerdy.
All right. So, by the way, I think there's a Weird Al song on the Walking Dead season premiere.
There was. Yeah. It was
which
another
is
one rides the bus.
Another thing I love about you, Chris, is I think that we are embracing TV more than we've ever embraced it before.
There's so much of it.
But the big shows now have shows about the big shows, as in what you're doing with Walking Dead, and
little
as you
after shows.
did with all.
Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad,
and- yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
I love that, and I love the fact that you are reminding everyone there are a billion channels out there that need content.
Well, shows. I think what we sort of realize with Talking Dead is that it's really about creating a community around a show. And there are some shows, not all shows, but some shows that are so dense with drama and stuff that's going on that you really just need someone to come on afterwards and go, "Hey, it's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Everything's gonna be okay."
That's what
And
after
it's
our
fine.
show. So we need Talking Elvis because we need people to tell
What's
us
that,
to be
that
okay.
show that makes everyone cry on NBC?
Oh,
This is us.
Yeah, we renamed it.
This is We Are Sad.
We Are
yeah.
Sad. They need a We Are Okay show after This Is Us.
And we figured out what that show is going to be called. We were going to call it That Was Them. And we're just talking about them.
But you know what? Also, you're after like certain shows. I get so upset, like with American Horror Story,
Sure.
The Walking Dead, because of all the graphic, stuff that goes on.
Yeah.
I need like a buffer.
Yeah.
Before I go to sleep.
You really do, because just
Good-
to shut
good
your
point.
brain
Yeah,
off a little bit.
totally.
You just need someone to talk through your feels, you
Yeah.
guys. You just need someone to talk about it.
Are you?
So that's what we
Is there
do.
anything you're binging? Is there anything you're loving, or do you have time
We
to
just
watch?
watched Mindhunter, which was
that's
really
Bethany's.
fun.
Yep.
It was really really the acting was beautiful, and the guy who played Ed Kemper. Actually, all the serial killers, the performances were incredible.
Have you gone on YouTube and watched the side by side
Yes!
of Ed Kemper? Oh, it's so good.
It's incredible.
We love a good serial killer show.
It's
can do
well, that's
nothing
all.
but
My
make
wife
noises.
and I watch almost exclusively. My wife, we vacillate between. She likes to watch Destination America and Investigation Discovery. So we watch
Yeah,
the murder
yeah.
shows and the ghost shows. And I always pretend that the murder shows are the how it gets made of the ghost shows, and it's sort of like the prequel.
It is.
And then yeah.
Without them, you wouldn't have no ghosts.
Do you ever watch? Homicide Hunter? Joe Kenda?
Yeah,
Joe
we.
Kenda follows me on Twitter. Does he follow you on Twitter?
Yes, I just had him on the podcast again.
Oh,
He's
you
the
too.
best.
Dude, those blue eyes will disarm you so quickly.
And just that look where he just looks into the camera.
And he remembers.
Do you have a brother, by the way? Because we need to hook Bethany up.
I do have a brother.
Is he into women?
Lives in Florida. He is. Yeah, he lives in Florida.
And he's into women.
He is.
Good, look at that.
All right. Well, we've been told to kick you out.
That's all right.
Actually, we've been told that you need to leave.
I'm sorry. I need to leave, and I'm gonna take my Sunbeam neck wrap with me.
Yay! You should. I bought 7 of them, and we're also giving you a copy of Telestrations After Dark, the board game.
Oh my gosh! I'm gonna play games, and my neck's gonna be warm.
And of course, Straight Nate, who didn't do investigating, brought you a bottle of wine. He doesn't drink.
Yeah, someone's been sober for a long time. But hey, I proved I could do it. Give me that button. No, I'm kidding.
But here's a needle. We brought you some heroin and a needle. Enjoy.
Yeah, I wasn't addicted to that, so that's totally fine.
No problem
I was
with
just
that.
drinking. Yeah, I can.
And of course,
As long
you
as I don't drink the heroin, I'm fine.
That's good. It's all good.
I'll have a heroin and soda.
Yeah, I have a Red Bull and heroin.
Red Bull and heroin.
Just a twist of lime. Like, why would you want lime in that?
And don't forget the Nerdist podcast, of course. Perfect.
Yeah,
Make sure
thank you so much.
You listen.
Thank you.
Being a nerd has
Yes,
a
sir.
fabulous wedding ring. He used to do overnights in radio, and also Chris Hardwick at Caroline's tonight and tomorrow night as part of the New York Comedy Festival. You can go to nycomedyfestival.com and buy your tickets. And if you don't live here, go to united.com and buy an airline seat. Enjoy your Sunbeam Renew neck wrap, targeted heat therapy, clinically proven. Heat relieves pain, wraps entire neck right here.
Seems like a really long title.
It really is. Ask for it by name. Chris Hardwick. Thanks, Chris.